all right? Like, I got enough enthusiasm, Dexter, to blow you past, like, through the wall, all right? And now you're a big guy, too, all right? So I'm just saying, like, I'm so excited to be here, but even more excited, you know what I am? I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I'm really, really thankful. I'm thankful for your friendship, Jay. Jay and I, so, first of all, I believe in being surrounded by quality people. I believe that your circle, your network is going to equal your net worth. Does that sound right? And when I first met Jay, now I was in the financial services business, but I knew that he was one of those guys that would come in a room and would make you feel like you're the only person there, Taylor. Am I right? Okay. And I said, I need to be a part of whatever he's doing. Now, I had my own insurance agent at the time, right? And he's good at golf. I was learning to be good at golf. Now, you know how you get better at golf? Be around other professionals, people that are better than you, right? So I called Jay, and I said, Jay, hey, I've been watching you. Appreciate you. We're building a friendship. I want to change all my insurance over to you. And he said, nope, not going to do that. You need to come in my office. Because I need to know and really diagnose your situation. Now, this is Jay Bartley saying this. And I said, really? Because most people just take my numbers, take my card over the phone, let's do this, right? Get transferred over. And that hit me so much. Now, I am a professional speaker. I'm here to motivate you. That means move. I'm also here to inspire you, which means to breathe life into. But I'm really here, hopefully, to give you some tactical ways that you can really level up on many areas of your life. All right? Does that sound fair? So we got about 90 minutes. I'll be a little before that. But I'm going to tell my story of origin, a little bit more about how I met Jay, but even before that. I'm going to share really some life-changing principles that I've implemented in my life. So everybody put up what you're going to take note with today. Could even be your phone, that's fine. What are you going to take notes with? You already got the notepads, I love it. You know why? Because when you take something and you write it down, the chances of it happening go from 5% to 35%, just by writing it down. Yeah, Amanda, my wife's name is Amanda too. And so, just by writing it down. Now, if you have a deadline and say, I'm going to do this by Friday, it goes to 65%. If you have a coach, which I believe that everybody needs a coach in life. I believe that a good coach can change your life. I also believe that everybody in this room, including me, cannot read the label while we're in the bottle. Okay? And so you guys are all here, which I'm thankful. This is your time to really work on your business, on yourselves. Okay? So this is not about me. It's not about Jay. It's not about Travis. It's not about Chad. This is about everybody in this room. I want to leave you better than I found you. When I come into every situation, whether it's a sales situation or just I'm meeting new people, the first thing I want to ask is, Anthony, how can I help you? Like, how can I help you? I want it. And if it's not me that can help you, then maybe it's Jay. Maybe it's somebody in my network that can help you, but I want to know that I can help you. Now, another thing that I realized, so that's number one, I just want to help people. Number two, I understand that nothing good happens in your comfort zone. Chad, growth over comfort. One of my notes that I took for Chad. Other one that I took is be intentional, okay? That is something for me that I just want to be more intentional every day. But I understand that my mind, as I wake up in the morning, goes right to negative town. Anybody else with me here? If you're not, you're lying, right? We wake up and naturally we're going down because our minds are negative. And I call it the sewer cycle. Now, what has to happen, Mr. Valley City, Nathan, have we met before? No. Okay, I went to college, Valley City. Anyway, what has to happen is I have to stop this train. And I literally have to turn it around, be a U-turn leader in my own life, and then I have to get it going uphill. Why? Because I can't have uphill goals with downhill habits. Is that right? Everybody follow me here? So I'm going to give you one quick, just easy, like to do every day, all day long, is that just realize that wherever you're entering a big pot of boiling water. Doesn't matter if it's the office, your house, doesn't matter, big pot of boiling water. And everything you put inside of that heat and the pressure is going to be affected by it. Is that right? So you got a choice to be one of three things. Number one, carrot. Write that down, carrot. What happens when you put a carrot inside a pot of big boiling water? It's soft. sad, mushy, miserable. It's affected by the heat and the pressure of the environment. All right? So you don't want to be a carrot. Number 2 is an egg. What happens when you put an egg? If I'm an egg and I come into the heat and the pressure, what happens? The outside is hard, but the inside is liquid until it gets into the heat and the pressure of the environment. And now I've got anger, resentment, bitterness, all kind of bad things. All right? So I don't want to be a carrot. I don't want to be an egg. The last one, which we need to be every day, doesn't matter the situation you're walking into, is the smallest of all 3. You can pass those around so everyone can have one. They're plastic. Don't eat it. Okay? The smallest of all 3 is a coffee bean. The coffee bean has the power inside of it to transform the water into coffee. It's the smallest of all 3, but it's the change agent. And what I heard Chad say is that we need more change agents. Is that right? Absolutely. We need more change agents in our organization if we're going to change. And I will tell you the number one thing that I've learned, and I'm going to share my story here a little bit, but the number one thing that I've learned is that I have to grow daily. Every day. I have to grow. Jay, I think he gave a copy to his son, Leighton. And he just got into sales. And I don't know if he was reading the book or he got convicted or something, but he reached out on LinkedIn and said, hey, I want to talk more. That's the reason for this book, by the way, Touchpoint Selling. And I know that Jay has been coaching his son ever since he was really little to say, hey, this is how you do things. But we can't do it for them. They've got to get it to click. I want somebody to get it to click today. I cannot sit in a state of stagnicity. I can't be stagnant. I have to move. So I really want everybody in this room to understand you're at position A right now, and you're trying to get to B. Every day, right? There's some things that bother you at A. Okay? Could be the amount of money, could be your time, could be relationships. So there's things that bother you at your position A. And you're trying to get to B. This is your B goal over here. Now you know how to get there. Okay? I know how to lose weight. Eat less, work out more. But I need a who in the middle. I need a coach in the middle to be able to really get me to that next level. And that's why I believe everybody needs a coach in life. I have spent tons of money on coaches. And the biggest thing that they've taught me is that I have to just keep moving. I cannot stop. Either you're green or growing, write this down, or you're ripe or rotting. You guys with me here? Now, how did I meet Jay? Well, went to school, Valley City State, I mentioned that earlier. Had a double major, Dexter, football and girls, okay? All right. Went to be a teacher and a coach. And they were going to pay me about $18,000 a year, this is in 2025, to work for Jamestown High School. And I'm like looking at my bills and all the life that I want to live. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So I started to just look around, right? While I'm doing my student teaching, I started to look around. Now, I didn't have any sales experience, okay? So I'm applying for, at that time, I wanted to get in financial services. I really didn't even know what that is. Really didn't even know what it meant. I had a bunch of credit card debt. I'm like, I'm not a great financial anything. But I knew that there was an upside to this. And I had just lost a bunch of weight. I had confidence. Had a pretty girlfriend in Bismarck. Like, I could do anything, right? I had confidence. I just didn't have clarity on where I wanted to go. So applied for a bunch of companies. All of them came back and said, Ryan, you don't have any sales experience. Like, we can't hire you. I didn't stop. I kept going. And a company called Northwestern Mutual took a chance on me. Now, when I took this job, first of all, I had to take my insurance test 3 times. Not very smart, but more so didn't know how to study, lazy my whole life, cheated. Like, didn't do the things I needed to do. Preparation didn't meet opportunity, right? Okay? But I did pass them. And I started, and the first thing that they teach you is what? Well, you got to get a list of 200 names. Bring them training. I'm like, okay. So 200 names, and now we start going through phony language. I'm practicing with my girlfriend, approach language, fact-finding language, sales language. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I can really do this for a living and, reach out to people and develop relationships. Now, on a DISC profile, my behavioral type, I'm a high I. Does anybody know what DISC is? We'll get into that later. But high I means interacted with people, Jay and I are very similar behavioral types. We're interested in people, influencing. So this was something that I was like, I love this. So the first 6 months, hit the ground running, literally made $35,000 in 6 months. My mom's like, I guess this commission thing's okay, right? Because the moms in commission, they don't work. So did that, then I hit what's called PGAS, Kathy, post-goal attainment syndrome. I won New Agent of the Year in 6 months. I hit all my goals. Went to Vail twice. Ended up just living a life of comfort for a little bit, right? Complacency. It's one thing that I really, when I go out and speak, I'm speaking against that. Because you can really, really get in a place of comfort, and you can stay there for a long time. Am I right? Growth over comfort, okay? And so I got comfortable, broke up with my girlfriend. My life was kind of a mess that next year. I maybe made like 40 grand the whole year. My managing partner brought me in, and he said, Ryan, you're gonna mess this up. He goes, you're better than this. You have more potential in you. I'm like, I know I do. So I did something I hadn't done in 23 years. Lene, I read a book. Seriously, front to back. And that book's called, write this down, Relentless. Has anybody heard of it? Tim Grover wrote a book. Now, Tim is a coach. He coached two of quite possibly the best performers in the world, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Now, why were they the top performers? They weren't the most athletic. They weren't the most gifted. He would say this in the book. But they were the most relentless. They wouldn't stop for pursuing excellence. Now, this is a business book, not a basketball book. And I took everything in that book, Nathan, and I put it into my business. Because the number one thing that we have to understand in sales is that, first of all, you have to be activity focused. That's it. Number one. Like, it doesn't matter how skilled you are if you don't activity focused. So number one is activity focused. Number two is skills. I heard you're working. Did you guys do role play this morning, Jay? Did you?
The last 2 days.
I love it. That's why, because experience is your best teacher. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's get into some situations. I still do it to this day, over and over again. Sometimes I just call people because I need to get reps in, more reps. Okay? So that's skill set. Number three is strategy. Strategy. Okay? So number one, activity focus. Number two, skill set focus. Number three, strategy focus. Number four, which is really advanced, ownership. Are you taking ownership in your entire day? Are you strategic in the way that you move? Or are you just checking the box? Like, I got my dials in today, I'm good enough. But the first thing is that we can't even get past that second without activity focus. So that was me right away. I'm like, I gotta get my activity up. So as I got my activity up, I started to really understand that I needed to be, write this down, a specialist, not a generalist. Why? Well, because Andrew, generalists make generalist money. Fair? All right? Specialists make specialist money. So I was calling on teachers first, not a great market, okay? Then I started to work with some nurses. You know, that was all right. But I really got in the medical community. Now, I could have went the business owner route as far as niche, but I didn't really know anything about being a business owner at that time. Didn't have any gray hair. Had more hair than I have now, but I didn't have any gray hair, and I was like, I didn't really feel comfortable with that niche. Could have worked with attorneys, but as Jay knows, attorneys in Fargo, there's some that make pretty big money, but most of them pretty low-end money. So it wasn't like downtown Minneapolis or Chicago, where an entry-level attorney would make 150 or 200 grand, be a good prospect. So I was literally just working my way through, but my activity was high. So I got my activity up that next year, and I made about 80 grand. So I doubled my income, but then I had to understand, like, I need to work smarter rather than harder. And so as I was working with nurses, I'm like, this could be a market, this medical market. So I got to more into really what the medical market's about, because I didn't know anything about it. And met my future wife. Her brother was in medical school, and he was also played football for UND. So we had a lot in common, and I would just ask him every question I could. Because information, write this down, is our most valuable commodity. Would we agree with that? I needed to learn everything that he knew about wanting to be a physician. By the way, don't call them doctors, call them physicians if they're MDs, okay? And I needed to learn when would be the perfect timing to get in front of these professionals. I wanted to work with professionals, okay? So as I was going through that, I started to surround myself with other producers around the country that were also top producers in the medical market, all right? So as I did that, I was growing study groups, and I finally got a big break. I cold called a man who was a pharmacist, so right there, good market, and his wife was going to medical school, and she was about to start a residency, which anybody know about residency? That's when a physician starts to make their first money. Usually it's 60, 70,000, something like that, okay? And so I met him, and I cold called him from, listen to this, I used to send letters out, Jay, to people that just had babies.
So back in Fargo Forum.
And I would call them on a dial phone at 7 o'clock every night. My roommate, he'd be like, he told the story at my wedding, he's like, I can't believe that Ryan did this, like, but this is what the Relentless book told me. I was like, how bad do you really want it? So one of those cold calls was a pharmacist, and his wife was a doctor, physician, about to be a physician. And they were moving to Minneapolis. I went all the way there, wrote a nice case with them, started to get some momentum. That was my first doctor client. Then I just started to really call myself specialist, say I'm working with physicians. Who do you know? Everybody. Do you know somebody that wants to go to medical school? Do you know somebody who is already in residency? I'm starting to learn the language. I'm starting to understand CB1, CB2. I'm starting to do post-call, pre-call. All these things I'm learning. I'm becoming a specialist, okay? And because of that, naturally, it just started to happen. Because I was not who I was, but I know who I was becoming. Does that make sense to everybody? I think the biggest thing is we need to be really self-aware. Like, who are you right now, but who are you becoming? Does that make sense? Okay? And like for me, like right now, I'm a professional speaker, I'm a coach. I really don't care the bigger stages. This gets me just excited because I want to connect with everybody in here as much as I can, but I just want to help you. It doesn't matter where I'm going as far as writing a best-selling book or any of that stuff. I just want to bring value. Right, Kathy? I just want to bring value everything that I do. So as I became a specialist, that next year I made over 100 grand, okay? I was about 25 years old. Then everything started to just multiply. The year after that, 200, 300, 400, literally before, the last couple of years before I was 30, made over $1 million a year in Fargo, okay? Now, big money, big life, started to have big problems. Jay saw it firsthand. So about my first year or two working with physicians, I think we met, right? And you know why I met Jay? Because he was one of the top performers in his industry. And I also met the top realtor, the top mortgage person. Please write this down because this needs to happen in your life, okay? You need to be in proximity of power, okay? Of powerful, influencing people. I need to be in proximity of them. Now, how did I become in proximity with you, Jay? What got your attention the most?
Your personality.
And how did I do business?
Professionally.
Yeah. So physicians would literally call you.
Oh yeah. They walk in the door. I'm supposed to do business with you.
Already set up. I said, Jay's the best. You don't need to talk to anybody else. You just go talk to Jay. Here's what you need to do, this, and this, but he's a professional, and I already framed it for Jay. I do that for every single person in my top 25, or like I like to call him, Jay was a center of influence. Do you guys call him that? Yep. Right, COI, okay? And so as I did that, I didn't want anything from Jay, nothing, okay? Because I already had an itch, but I knew Jay was gonna take care of everybody I sent. Why? Because what did he do when I first met him, when I changed my insurance? By the way, everything's a test. Right? I want to just make sure, hey, are you a mess? Do you have good business? Is this what do I want to do business? Kind of like dating, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to work with Jay, and I wanted to see how professional he was. After that, it didn't matter, okay? Now, I always know that givers gain, but for me, I really wanted my clients to be taken care of, but I wanted to get Jay's attention, just like I wanted to get the number one realtor's attention and the number one mortgage person's attention. Okay? Because you make somebody money and you're a real people connector, there's no better way to get their attention. Am I right? Okay? So, big money, big life, started to have big problems. Big lifestyle. Started to hang around people that were not influencing me the way I should. I started to lose, write this down, my rookie mindset. I started to lose my rookie mindset. I just wrote for Leighton on his book, keep your rookie mindset. Keep being intentional. Keep that as long as you possibly can. Now, life has a way of humbling you, right? So, as I'm starting to believe Ryan Botner's marketing, making over $1 million a year, I'm the guy, they're bringing me into agencies, I'm speaking, and I'm on stages, all the awards, trophies, private jets, to the Super Bowl, Phoenix Open, Masters trip, okay? I start to lose myself. Because I really didn't have a real purpose. Like, Ryan, why do you even want to do this? What's this about? Like, you want to make a bunch of money, why? And so I started to really lose my way, but I really didn't really even have my real why attached to any of it. We talked about expert positioning statements last week, or last month.
That was the word we couldn't think of.
Expert positioning statement. Everybody write this down. We'll do a little workshop right in the middle of my story here. Okay? Expert positioning statement. Because when you're in the elevator with somebody, first of all, Dexter, what most people ask you? What do they ask you? What do you do? What do you do? And whenever somebody asks me that, I say, Dexter, first, I'm going to tell you what I do, but I want to tell you what I believe in. And I believe in being consistent, committed, curious to grow, and compassionate. Also being accountable. Those are the 5 core values that I have. What do you believe in?
You actually asking me?
Yeah.
Working hard and having fun doing it.
Pretty similar?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like we believe in the same thing?
Yeah.
That means we probably can move forward.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Because if people don't believe the same thing as you can't move forward in life and business. Does that make sense? So I like to share what I believe in, but I want to know what you believe in. Okay? Because I only have so much time, especially in sales. We waste so much time, don't we? Like, I need to have time ownership. I need to be able to find people that I can help quickly and be a needle mover in their life. I want to bring massive value. Okay? So my expert positioning statement, by the way, you guys have been doing this, right? I help X do Y so they can have Z. That's your expert positioning statement. Now, for me, I help stressed out professionals. Why? Professionals can pay me. Okay? I help stressed out professionals connect their why with their way. Why? Because I lost mine. My why and my way. So I help stressed out professionals connect their why with their way so they can start living a life of significance. Nobody wants to get at the end of their life and think that their life was not significant. We've had 2 men in our small town in North Dakota, north of here, 40 miles, that committed suicide in the last month. Like, I'm so burdened. I just spoke to a school last week. One of them was a teacher. I'm so burdened because I know that people are going through a lot. And I've went through a lot. And I just want to help. I just pray to God that, Lord, put me in people's paths before this happens. Help me. Let me to be a willing vessel so I can share what I believe in, and hopefully they don't lose hope. Because I tell you what, you can live about 40, 50 days without food, maybe 60 for me. Okay? You can live about 4 or 5 days without water. You can live a few seconds, maybe minutes without air, but you can't live 1 moment without hope. Is that right? And there's a lot of hopeless people that look successful on the outside. And that was me. It was a facade, Jay. I loved everybody. I was the life of the party, but it was a facade because I didn't have a why. I didn't know what my purpose was. I wasn't living a life of significance. Okay? And because of that, I started to fill it with drugs and alcohol. First it was alcohol, and it was because of some big decisions. I was early 30s. I had to start making some big decisions. I had to fire a key employee who I didn't lead the way that I should have. That started to follow me. I started to drink more. And then after a member guest golf tournament one day, I was hungover. like maybe some of you in here today, and I took an Adderall pill. Don't do that. Okay? And I'm a pretty big guy, so it didn't really affect me that much, but the person that gave it to me said, this will work. You're gonna feel better. So I went in his car and I took 2 more. Now, if you look on the bottle of Adderall, give you guys a revelation here, it's amphetamine. It's legal speed. It's meth. So I didn't sleep for 2-3 days, but I felt great. And I was like, I need more of this. And I went to my business partner, and I'm like, man, I took this drug. And he's like, just go to the physician down the street, tell him that you're ADD, whatever, squirrel, which I was. And I took a little test, Kathy, and he gave me a script for Adderall. And that started my journey of chasing something that I was trying to fill this God-sized hole in my heart with a different high. Does that make sense? And I kept chasing things. And we all have it. We all have exit strategies. We all have outlets that we use. So for this was Adderall, then I would mix it with alcohol and then shooting cocaine in my life. Pretty much over a 3-year period from 2017 to 2020, I destroyed almost every relationship and blew almost every dollar. Now, nothing happens to you. It all happens for you. Now you all know that this turned out to be a pretty good story. I'm here, right? Some people it doesn't turn out to be a good story. I get so saddened, Jay, when somebody tells me a story just like this and they say it didn't end well. That's why I'm thankful, okay? That's why I'm thankful. And I know that every person that comes in my life, I have an opportunity to help them transform their life or them to transform my life. That's the type of opportunity when I make every single phone call. I did an hour and a half of phoning yesterday. Every call was me being excited, standing up, and reaching out and trying to shake them over the hand, shake their hand through the phone. Because I know that they're dealing with something, and I know that I can help them or they can help me. It's a new opportunity every single reach that I make, every single hit list call that I make, which I'm going to get into a little bit, all right? So my journey ended with an overdose. In a coma 3 days. This was October of 2020, almost 5 years ago. And I believe that God sends us angels, Katie, when we can't get out of the situation that we're in. An angel in my life was a big black man named Bill. And he was at my house party, and I overdosed, did CPR on me, and he called the ambulance, and I didn't even know this man at all. But I got out of the hospital, and I mean, I was dead. It was tragic. I know that God spared me. No question about it. He gave me a second chance at life. Now, I didn't really wake me up at that time. And so I was asking everybody who Bill was, and I got his phone number, and I invited Bill back over to my house. And I'm still drinking. I think I'm Superman, right? But I'm talking to Bill. Now, at this time, I have 4 felony charges hanging over my head. 3 for having drugs in a car, 1 for owing casino money. Don't do that. 4 felony charges, minimum 10-year sentencing. I wasn't worried about my business. I was actually more worried about going to prison because I'm not built for prison, Jay. Okay? And so I'm asking Bill if he'd ever been to prison or jail, because that was really my big worry. You know, every time I get a little sober, I'd be like, oh, got to figure this out. And so I asked Bill, I said, Bill, have you ever been to jail, prison? And he said, and I didn't know the difference between the two at the time, but he said, I have not been to prison, but I did go to jail over a weekend for a DUI. This is Bill, the man that saved my life. And he said, Ryan, but all I did that weekend was read the Bible. And all he had to say was the word Bible. Now, this is really the only faith that I'm going to really share for the most part with you guys today. But this is the reason I'm here. And when he said the word Bible, one word, I said, that's it. I need to find God. I need to find my purpose. Ever read that book or seen it, Purpose Driven Life? It sold over 100,000 copies for numerous months. It's not because Rick Warren's some great author. It's because the title, Purpose Driven Life. I bought it. I never read it because the title spoke to me. I lost my purpose. I lost my drive. I needed to find that. Now, God was planting seeds in my life all throughout my addiction. One of the persons he used to plant seeds in my life was a trainer. His name was Scoops. And I'd come and I'd still work out and I'd be strung out and I would be disciplined to go to the gym. And And he knew I was living a crazy life. And he would always talk about this church that he would go to. He actually ran security for it. And so I'm like, I'm not going to church, Scoops. Like, I'm living crazy. And if you guys had some lightning insurance, maybe I'll go to church. That's how I felt, okay? And so, but I said, when I'm ready, I want to come to church. And when he said that word Bible, I said, I'm ready. I'm finished. And I walked by faith. And I brought my druggy friends. We all went to church. I said, I just died. We're all going to church. I was evangelist from day one. And we went to church, and it was COVID church, right? So I'm sitting here, and everybody's sitting 6 feet apart. But the word started to come forth, and Randall Cunningham was the pastor. Anybody, Randall Cunningham, the quarterback? He's a pastor in Las Vegas, which I thought was really crazy. Because I'd hang out with a bunch of NFL players, and none of them were pastors. They're all doing what I was doing, okay? And so I thought this was really interesting. This man's a pastor. And he stood over the pulpit, and he would just read. It was one of those churches, they just read the word. But the word came forth. And it accomplished what it needed in my life. It convicted me. And I started to just cry and weep. Here's this big, tough guy just weeping in this church. But it was at that moment that I knew I needed to change. And that was my first form of repentance. Repentance is turning away, so totally turning. And I went back to my house, and my wife's pink Bible. Now, my wife had left, took the kids 4 or 5 months before this. Like, my life was such a mess. And my wife's pink Bible was sitting beside the bed, and I just opened it up, and I started to read Proverbs. And I just opened it right in the middle, and I started to read. And over the next 24, 48 hours, I threw out all my drugs, and I threw out my girlfriend's stuff, and I said, I choose Jesus. I'm done with this. Now, I went back. So I was in Vegas at the time. I came back, flew into Bismarck. I'll never forget. I flew about 3.5 hours, and God was just dealing with my heart. I couldn't stop crying, Kathy. I just was like, I was so thankful. And when I got here, my wife took me back. Now, we've had 3 children since. We have 7 children, okay? And it hasn't been all roses, okay? Right? It was a lot of damage. But one thing I learned is that I didn't just go right back to work. I didn't go try to find a career or any of that. I actually started to really lose myself in the service of others. Does that make sense? The way that you really are going to find yourself, and if you're sitting here and you're complacent and you're comfortable and you feel like you don't have purpose, like, start to lose yourself in the service of others. I would go to the soup kitchen down the street here. I would go to food pantries, and I would just serve. And I was able to see other people in their mess, which I had compassion because I was just coming out of my mess. God totally delivered me. The desire for doing drugs or alcohol was totally gone, which was a miracle. And I just had to start rebuilding my life. Now, as I did that, I learned a few things. One of the first books I picked up, other than the Word of God, was The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, okay, by John Maxwell. Once again, hope you're getting some of these books here, because these books, listen to them. There's even an app called Headway. You can listen to it, Dexter, in like 10 minutes. They give you the bullet points. I love it. Okay, so the 15 valuable laws of growth. Now, the first law that John talks about in his book is the law of intentionality. Be intentional about your life. I needed to be a better husband. I needed to be a better father. I needed to be a better brother. I wanted to just be better. I needed to be more intentional about my life. And that's how I started to build it. Now, I started to serve. Now, here's the problem. I was serving people my whole life. Everybody, okay? Now, one thing that I realized, and this is really 6 things that I do every day. I'm going to share 5 because the 6th has to do with my faith. You can come ask me about it later. But I'm going to share 5. I do 6 things every day, but I'm going to share 5. 5 things that I do every day that came out of this book. And I still do it today, and I'm going to share it with you. Okay? And this is just part of really the end of my inspirational talk, and then we're going to get into some tactical things. Sound good? All right? Everybody doing okay? So, number 1, every day, Kathy, I value people. Now, write that down. Value people, because you can serve them, but if you serve them and you don't value them, or you just see a number on their head, right? And this is what I did a lot of times, because I would work with internal medicine doctors. They made about 200 grand. I would work with OB-GYNs. They would make about 400 or 500 grand. I would work with anesthesiologists. They make about 600 grand. So every time I met someone, I'd be like, there's a number. There's a number. And then I started to work with oral maxillofacial surgeons. They made about $1 million pulling out wisdom teeth. Crazy. But I would see people for a number, not as if I actually valued them. So I would serve them, but it was always like that Vegas service. I give you something, you give me something back, right? And so I had to start valuing people. Because if you truly, truly value people, your life will change. You will see them as valuable. Now the problem is, unless I'm a coffee bean, I'm an egg and a carrot, it's pretty hard to value people because I'm always focused on me and my problems. That make sense? My cup, if it's not full and overflowing and I give some out, I get resentful for that. So I make sure my cup's full every day. So number one, value people. Number two, you need to think of ways to bring value to people. Think of ways to bring value to people. 95% of people don't think. 3% of people think they think. 2% of people actually think, like actually sit down and think. Now thinking can get you in trouble too, we need action, right? But I'm saying to actually think, how is there ways that I can bring more value to Travis and Jay and Chad? How can I bring more value to this situation the next time I see them? Okay? So I think of ways to bring value. Number three, I'm constantly looking for ways to bring value. I'm a big core values fan. When I walk into businesses, Dexter, I'm looking for their core values. I'm looking for their mission statement. I want to be able to connect with them on a deeper level. Try to find that 1% I can really connect with and go 100% at that. Does that make sense? So I'm looking for ways to bring value. Number four, one of the most important, I do things to bring value to people. I'm taking massive action to make sure that you know I'm not just going to say I'm going to pray for you. I'm actually going to come and help you in this situation. I'm going to invest in you. Okay? I'm going to do things to bring value to you. Number five is encourage others to bring value to people. Look, I did all that before 11 a.m. Okay? Encourage. The word encouragement means to put courage into something. We all need to be encouraged. Okay? I do a Ryan's encouraging message every morning. Right, Jay? It's more so for me. And so you guys will get an opportunity. If you want an encouraging message, you can sign up for that at the end. But I believe that we need to be encouraged. I can't get enough encouragement. When somebody says, hey, Ryan, can I encourage you? I'm like, yes! Right? What a great question. Jay, can I encourage you today?
Please do.
Right? Like, because what's the opposite? Discourage. To take courage out of. Lord, help us. We need to protect ourselves with who we are surrounding ourselves, who we are listening to. Right? Protect that. Protect your energy every single day. All right? So encourage others to bring value. I did all that for the first part of our talk today. And I want to go around the room because I love the core value side of things. So I just want to go around the room real quick. If I'm going to give you one word, Rachel, one word, your one core value word, what is it? Kindness. Kindness. Amanda?
Faith.
Faith. Lene?
Friendship.
Awesome. Taylor?
Caring.
Dexter?
Determination.
You guys better think back there. Can't be the same word, all right? Kathy?
Trust.
Trust. Determination. Jay?
Helper.
Helper. Awesome. Anthony?
Respect.
Respect. Casey?
Value. That's unfair. That's what
Yeah, that was what you were going to say. Sue? You want me to come right back to you?
Yeah.
You think for a second? Nathan?
Integrity.
Integrity. I love it.
Family.
Katie? Family?
I was going to say faith as well. Religion. Fancy something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Hope, right? That was hope. I'm going to tell you a story about hope in a second. Ashley? It was hope. We're going to get into hope. Tiffany? Hope, faith. I love it. Melissa? Be intentional. Intentionality, right? Ashley?
Honesty.
Jan? It's getting harder. There's a lot of words out there.
There it is.
I've got a couple words that are E words that I haven't heard yet. One was encourage. Think of an E word right now that is positive. There's over 400 in the English dictionary. I want you to think of it. I'm going to share a couple of my favorite E words. E words.
Elevate.
There you go. That's the word of the year of our church. Elevate. Why? Because as a person, I need to leave my position A and get to position B. And most of the time that position B is what? It's elevated. And it's harder to get up, to go up the mountain than it is to go down, right? But here's the great thing about being elevated is as I'm going up, if I fall, I can get right back up quick. It's all about how quick you get back up, right? Like I just want to get over things quicker so I can get back up quicker. Andrew?
Selflessness.
Selflessness. I love it. Only a couple left here. Jenny?
Caring.
Caring? Michelle? Energetic. Awesome. Got one back there? Chad?
Empowered.
E, there's E word. Empowered means to what? Put power into, right? Travis?
Joy.
Enjoy. Yeah, I love it. Isaiah, you got one for us? Authentic. Great. Now, E words, couple that I really like. Edify. Edification. Means to what? Build up. Let's build each other up, right? Rather than what does this world try to do all the time? Tear us down. Let's edify each other, right? Let's really, really try to empower and encourage and edify and be energized while I do this, all right? There's so many E words. Now, if you think of an E word in the middle of the night, don't call me, call Travis or Jay, all right? I got an E word. But I believe that there's so much power in our words, right? And we need to be careful with what we say. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so how can I be more encouraging? How can I be that person that lifts people up rather than tearing them down? Naturally, though, I have to take care of myself. Now, I'm going to tell a story about Hope, North Dakota. Anybody been there? Okay. I speak at rehab facilities, and I was speaking in Dickinson, North Dakota, and about a year ago, July. And I was leaving Dickinson to go to Hope to do actually an insurance workshop. And as I'm driving, I stop and steal along the way in I-94. And I come up next to some cars alongside the road. And I look to the right and I see a vehicle on its side in the middle of a slough with children standing on top. This is a year ago. And I'm like, whoa. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Okay? And I pull up and I back up and someone just told me run. It was so eerie. Like it was just like silent. You know what I mean? And it was just, there was just such a heaviness in the air. And I ran to the edge of the slough and there was a lady there and a man there. And they said, there's children trapped in the vehicle. They said, we can't swim. Well, I'm not a great swimmer either, but I got my full suit on. I throw my suit coat off, I throw my phone, and I just jump in. Why? Because I already died once. So I'm like, Lord, whatever it is. And I'm just getting in the water and I'm praying. Now, the water only came up out here, so I didn't really need to show off my skills of talent of swimming, thankfully. But I came up to the vehicle and the children are screaming on top and they're crying and they're like, we can't find our brother and our cousin is trapped in the vehicle. Now there's a man in the vehicle and he's like going up and down. And I'm walking all around the vehicle and I'm just praying. There's nothing else I can do. I'm looking for the kids. I don't know what's going on. And finally, the man that's in the vehicle, he said, hey, sir, can you help me? I'm here. And so now about 2 years before this, I joined the ambulance in Washburn, volunteer ambulance. What's the first thing you do in the ambulance? CPR. This is pretty real life. My first opportunity to use CPR. He hands me a lifeless 9-year-old, like she's dead. Over the top. I put her on my shoulder and I wade over to the side of the ditch and I put her down and I just, like, okay, real life. She's completely lifeless. And I start to do compressions, start to do mouth to mouth, and there's nothing. I'm just like, every minute is like an eternity. And I'm just like doing whatever I can and I continue to pray. And probably 6-7 minutes, I don't even know how long. Finally, I hear a, and she gives a breath. And right at that moment, the patrol officer pulls up. He puts her on her side. I am not that advanced. I didn't know to do that yet. Puts her on her side. She gets some water out. The ambulance show up a few minutes later. The kids that were on the vehicle are now beside watching this whole thing. And I grab them. And I got little kids. And I grab these kids and I just said, we need to pray. Like, because there's 2 boys that got thrown from the vehicle. We need to pray for them. What's their names? And what's her name? And they said, her name's Heavenly. And so we just started to pray. We prayed for Heavenly. Now, these 2 other boys didn't make it. And I'm not telling you this story because I want to be some great hero. God put me in that position for a reason. Okay? But our theme for today is preparation meets opportunity. Now, 5 years before this, I was drunk and high on a bar stool. And my wife called me on a Monday morning. And she said, we just got in a car accident. She pulled in front of a truck going 50 with all my children in there. And I'm completely helpless. Preparation had not met opportunity. Now, thankfully, once again, angels, not one scratch on any of my children. Nothing, not one scratch on them. If you would have been my agent, you would have took the claim then. Thankfully, you weren't, because I had a lot of claims after I we would have a different relationship. But that, like, preparation needs to meet opportunity in everything that we're doing in our life. There was something inside of me that told me to join the volunteer ambulance. Not going to be a benefit for me. I didn't even know that. I wasn't even about any of that. But I knew that there was something that was going to be there that I needed to be prepared for. Now, this is the same thing in business, in life. What are you doing today that your future self is going to thank you for? Am I right? What are you growing in today? Whether it's physical, mental, emotional, skill set, what are you growing into? I just want to win every day, like a little bit. I'm not trying to get a bunch of big wins. Like if I won a little bit, being a better husband a little bit, better father a little bit, if I'm a little bit better on that phone call, a little bit better connecting, if I give a little bit better talk the next time, I just want to grow a little bit every day. I want to beat my old self yesterday. It's not about what other people are doing. I'm reading a book right now called The Gap and the Gain. Has anybody read it? It's you're living your life always looking in the gap of what everybody else is doing. When you look in the gap throughout your life, what happens? You're not thankful, right? Because you're always like, I'm not where I need to be, which I'm not happy with where I'm at, but I'm thankful, right? Because I want to grow. And so I don't want to be comfortable, but when I live in the gap, my whole mindset changes, and it's really negative, because I'm always like, well, I'm not where they're at. But if I live in the gain, and I look 6 years ago, drunk high on a bar stool, to where I am today, I'm living in the gain, and I'm thankful. And that's what I first said when I came here, like, I'm just thankful. This isn't about me. This is about, hopefully, one of you being able to take what I'm saying and start to implement it. Because if you start teaching it, some of the stuff that I'm giving you right now, actually, I just learned 2 days ago. So I'm teaching it immediately. Think about that. Teach it immediately. Okay? Because when you teach it, it gets deeper in you, right? The conviction, all those things that happen, all right? So we're going to get into more tactical ways here, but I'm just going to share about, I've worked with top performers throughout my life, and I've studied motivational theory. And motivational theory really is you move towards what you want, right? But what I've studied is that there's 4 things that all top performers do, and they're really, really good at it. Okay, top performers. I'm not talking about top producers. I'm not talking about top money earners. I'm talking about top performing teachers, firefighters, police officers, top performers. Okay? And number 1, we talked about this earlier, Chad, that you need to be remarkably bold. As a top performer, they are remarkably bold. They're bold to ask for referrals. They're bold to make the phone call. They're bold to get people to move forward, right? It's a big problem that we have. We're not bold enough. Just think if we were more bold, Chad. Would you guys' numbers be through the roof if we were more bold?
Absolutely.
No question about it. Now, there's got to come confidence with that. I believe that as you're being coached, you're getting clarity, which gains confidence, but you got to get your reps in. And really what you got to do is, I ask a lot of my coaching clients every week, I just ask them, hey, did you get beat up this week? Because that's what it's about. You got to get beat up. We got to go out. We got to take, like, we got to be able to contact people. Does that make sense? So number 1, remarkably bold. Number 2, they're great people connectors. Okay? Jay Bartley's one of the best people connectors I have met. There's somebody above him that I haven't met, but I've read a lot of his books, John Maxwell. He actually wrote a book called Everybody Communicates, Few Connect. Now, the thing about John is, I've got a coach that I had 2 years ago. He's written about probably 20 books. He had an opportunity about 20 years ago to go to a John Maxwell event. Now, John gets paid at this time $100,000 to speak for about an hour, okay? Just a little less than me, right? All right. $100,000. And so his friend asked him, he said, Mike, my coach named Mike, would you like to come to, he's like, yeah, I'd love to come to John Maxwell event. He's like, we're having a dinner with him after because I got a VIP ticket. He's like, really? Great. Can't wait to meet John Maxwell. So there's about 12 people at the dinner table, okay? Now, my coach has written a few books. John comes right up to my coach and he says, you wrote a book. I don't know if he had the book in his hand, that would have been something, but he said, you wrote a book about cheetahs and zebras. Tell me about that book. Like, what is it about? Just John Maxwell. Asking my coach who wrote a book. Do you think that happened accidentally? It was totally intentional. He said, who's going to be at our VIP dinner tomorrow? I need to know everything. If they wrote book, whatever it is, I want to know because I want to connect with them, Dexter, any way that I can. Okay? Great people connectors. Now, John was a pastor originally, okay? And he took over this church with 200 members. And his first goal the first month that he was there is to memorize every name, to know every name that came in that church. You think like, oh, I'm not good with names. No, it's because you're not trying, right? So what he would do is he had pictures of every member in the church, and had their names. So it'd be like Amanda, Koenig, and he'd look at your face, and he'd put it like this and study it for a month. Within the first month, 200 names, everybody memorized. Every single person. Now, why did he do that? What book did he read? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie. The most beautiful sound to someone is their name, Taylor. Am I right? Yes, he smiled. But it's the most beautiful sound, so I want to use their name more to be able to connect, because everybody communicates if you connect. So I would be a great people connector. Now, at the end of that day, he was signed probably 2,000 books he signed, right? And he's about to leave, get in the car to go to the plane, and a man comes up, okay? Anthony walks up to him, and he said, hey, my son's name is George. Can you sign a copy for it? And he goes, Anthony, anything for you. 2,000 people headed down. That's extreme intentionality. You guys with me here? He knows it's the reason why he is who he is and he's so successful. It's because he has the ability to connect with people. He also has the ability to solve problems. When problems are solved, money changes hands. Write that down, because this is one of the big things in my life that changed it. When problems are solved, money changes hands. I'm not here to sell you, Dexter. I'm here to solve. I want to bring a solution to whatever problem that you have in your life. And if I'm not the person that can solve it, I'm going to find somebody that is. When problems are solved, money changes hands. Now, the bigger the problem, the more money, right? Okay? So going back, number one was what?
Remarkably bold.
Thank you. Number two? People connector. Number three, an intrinsic motivation to get up every day and know that I've got my sight on a bigger mission. Because if I lose sight of the mission, ladies and gentlemen, I become a slave to the immediate. That's why people get burnt out. If you're really around a pro that knows they have a great mission, they'll never get burnt out. Now, they still need to train, they still need to perform, and they still need to rest, because that's what professionals do, right? So I need to do those things, but I will never get burnt out because my mission is bigger than me. Okay? But if you lose sight of the mission, you'll become a slave to the immediate. I need to have an intrinsic motivation that this is bigger than me. It's not even about my kids. It's about generations and legacies. You see, my dad was a drug-using, alcoholic woman beater. I never met him. Guess what? I became that. Never met him. I was adopted when I was 3. Never met him. His dad, gambling, drug addict, alcoholic. Never met him. There's these generational curses that were attached to me that I had to break. And I didn't even know it. But there was intrinsic motivation. Why? Because it wasn't about me anymore. This isn't even about my kids. This is about legacies to come. And I know that you care, Jay, because when I told you about Leighton, I want to say Landon, Leighton, I know that it hit you. Because it's not even about him. It's keep going and going and going, right? There was a study there was horse thieves in the 1800s. And they studied the genealogy of these horse thieves. And then their son was what? Horse thief. And then it came in the 1900s, their grandson was a Model T thief. It came in the 50s, their son was a Plymouth thief, whatever. But it was the generational curses that if I understand it, like I need to break these things, but there's got to be something bigger than me. It can't just be about me. I'm not building Ryan's kingdom anymore. This is bigger than me. Does that make sense to everybody? You know why people lose purpose and they lose significance in their life? Because they've lost the hope of really what the mission is about. Why you're here? What are you doing? Right? And so to have that intrinsic motivation, you have to have a better vision of what this is really about. Okay? That's number 3. Number 4, last one. Goes with my book, Relentless. I like to just say grit. Got to be good. You got to be able to get through some things. You got to be able to move on from things quicker. Does that make sense? But if I'm going to war with somebody, I don't want to go to war with somebody that's never been through anything. Because where are they going to be at when it gets hot? I'm going to see their back, run into the hills. Right? And so these are things, though, that like if you can just embrace these things, like I want to perform better. I want my life to be more significant. Like these are the things that we have to work on every single day. And I know you guys are working on them. I'm just here to encourage. Does that make sense? Everybody doing okay? Okay. I'm going to give you some tactical things. All right? Tactical in the way that you can implement this immediately. And if you do, this is going to move the needle. Dexter, can you help me hand those out? Taylor, can you help me? Thank you. Some ways to be able to really move the needle in your life and your business, okay? Now, I've kind of been talking a little bit. You guys can, however you want to view it. I'm not just talking to producers here. I'm talking to everybody, okay? How many producers do we have in the room? Okay, and then staff. We have staff, right? Love it. Partners. I would not have made it to $1 million, no question about it. I know. I remember I met Amanda, right? And I had Joyce, and we had those people in our life that literally were our support staff, everything. We wouldn't have been able to be Jay Bartley and Ryan Botner without them. And so, but if I'm going to be a top performer, I've got to understand what does it take every day to do those things. Now, the reason people fail is because they don't have a system. Would you agree? Businesses fail. I don't know what the number is, but franchises are more successful than regular businesses that start. Why? Because they have a system. Okay? So if you don't have a system for selling, right? What's going to happen? You're just kind of like, well, I don't know, just see how it comes. So what I've done is I've really created a 7-touch system. Okay? And I'm going to go through it. And the key to this is, and why I wrote this book and why I'm so passionate about this, because I would go to events, Anthony, and someone would be like, great job, Brian, which, by the way, high fives and handshakes don't pay my bills. And so I would be like, okay, here you go, here's my card. And then what? Crickets. I'm like, nobody follows up. Why is nobody following up? I was just bothered by it. So then I quit. So then I would go to events and I would be like, I don't have any cards. Give me your card, right? And then I'd start to plug them into my system. So the first part of my system is my hit list. Number 1, hit list. Write it down. My hit list. This is my daily contact list. It's a list of, depending on what my day looks like, 30 to 50 contacts. Could be text messages, could be email, but I have phone calls, okay? Like, I'm a big phone call fan. So don't get too, like, comfortable just sending emails out and text messages. Now, we live in such a text world, like, you got to do all of it. You do. But there's nothing better than getting somebody on the phone. During my power hour yesterday, I called a man that I had been calling for 3 months, and he's the president of a bank in Louisiana. And he said, Ryan, I've been following you. You've been speaking to me. Let's meet next week. I'm following my system. He was in touch number 6. Because the majority of your business comes when? About 4 to 5, 4, 5, 6. Okay? That you have to keep following up. Because most people, sales people call one time and then that's it. Is that right? Or they don't call at all and be like, they're going to call me. So I got to have my hit list. All right? This is the people I'm going to reach out to every single day. Number 2 is my farm club. I like to use sports terms, hopefully help connect to you better. My farm club, I'm nurturing them. So if I call somebody in my hit list, let's just say that man yesterday would have been like, hey Ryan, we like what you got, but our budget, we don't do that until November. So then right in my CRM, I just put in November, and then when November 1st comes up, it goes back to my hit list. And in the meantime, he's getting, if I get permission, he's getting daily texts. I'm inviting him to my events. Like that's the number one lead generation for me is I do events and I speak at other events. There's no better way to get somebody in a room. And now how did I get physicians? Speak to Sal. I would go into the medical schools. I would go into the residencies and I would do like seven mistakes MDs make with their money. And I would just present it. Do a lunch and learn. I pay $100 for sandwiches, and I present, and they would flood to the back of the room, and they'd sign the card and say, "We want to know more." Get them in a room for. So whatever you're selling, product or service, you should be speaking. By the way, okay. And so that is my farm club, right? So then I have a follow-up system on that. All right. The last one on the list on this one is my red zones. Okay, my red zones. They've got to the 20. Now I got to punch them in the end zone. That means I'm going to be doing business, signing a contract or getting a check within the next 7 days. And every week, I'm right on my red zones. You guys follow me here? It is front of mind. They are hot. What can I do to get them across the finish line? Okay? I need to be more intentional. All right? The last one on here is my top 25. That goes back to COIs. That's who Jay would have been, still is now. Jay's back in my top 25. Congratulations, Jay. But it's people they're really champions for you. Does that make sense? They believe in what you do. You send them business. We help each other, like whatever it may be. You probably did some business with them, but they're really champions. Your top 25. I need to be touching them at least once a month. Okay? And so what I would always do is once a week, I would take one of my top 25 to a lunch, or at least be strategic. Now it's more virtual. I would just have an ongoing, depending on how closely they are and how much business we do similarly. Does that make sense? So like you want to surround yourself with people that are doing business with people you want to do business with. So for you, it's the realtor, the financial advisor, right? The mortgage broker. Okay? The list could go on, but I would just have those people, and I would literally meet with them at least once or maybe every other week. Sometimes we meet as a group. Like I was a big fan of BNI. I believe the givers gain. Anybody BNI? Know what BNI is? Business networking. Anyways, networking group. But you can, before I could get into BNI, I just formed my own group. So I got a mortgage person, car sales, the insurance, and I say, hey, let's get together every 2 weeks. And we just open our books. Why? Because you're calling on people that I'm calling on. Let's figure this out. And it was like my little power team. Does that make sense? That's where your top 25 really comes in handy. Okay? And if somebody's a big client of yours, like if you're not talking to them, somebody else is. Fair? And what else do you want to do with your A+ client? I want to clone them, right? So I want to do anything in my power. It goes back to what Chad said about cross-selling. The more products they have, it's harder to leave, right? Like, oh man, I'm kind of really in bed with Dakota Bank. I got this, this, and this. That's because we do a good job of cross-selling. If I only have one product, is it easy for me to leave? Absolutely. You guys follow me here? Am I talking to anybody? All right. So, and then some questions that, you need to ask yourself every day, like, are you really working hard? What is hard work? Ask the most successful person you know to have them define what hard work is. I challenge everybody to do that. Because I guarantee you what's going to happen. You're really not working that hard, right? You're going to realize like, whoa, that's hard work. Now I'm working more strategic though. I'm taking more ownership in the activity and the moves that I make. Okay? Last month, I invited a man who hired me to speak. Now, he missed it. He came late. He felt bad. He hired me on the spot. But it's strategic. Like, hey, I'm going to be in the area. Come, let's figure this out. Philip, I'm thankful for Philip. Like, I've been working with Philip for a little bit, but I know he's a professional. I said, hey, I'm traveling all the time. Can you come here? He made it work. Look how professional he is. I want to work with other professionals, right? I've got enough problems in my life. I don't need problem solvers. Problem spotters. I got enough of them in my life. I want problem solvers. Can you bring me a solution? Can you bring value to me? Does that make sense? Okay? Was this good? That's my selling system. Does everybody make sense of this? Does anybody have a selling system like this? Do you just kind of follow the CRM a little bit? Like, just, I guess, talk out loud. Really, what are we doing? Are we using, like, I used to use yellow cards in a shoebox thing. It was called the one card system. But it was my system, right? I do, for a lot of people that I start working with, they don't have a CRM yet. I'm like, let's just do a Google sheet and we do, email 1, 2, call 1, 2. At least we're getting, because I need to know, like, are you going to get the activity? Remember, that's the first level of really selling is activity focus. Second level is skill focus. You guys are working on your skills. But if I don't have enough activity, the skills don't really matter. Because I'm not in front of anybody being able to show off my skills. And you're in the show business, so we have to get our reps in. Okay? Does this make sense to everybody? Okay? All right? Next thing. And this has probably been, I told Jay and Travis this, about a 60 to 90 day really deep revelation for me. And I've made almost 6 figures from really, really taking ownership in what I'm about to share with you in the last 60, 90 days. Okay? Like, it's revolutionary what I'm about to share with you. Like, if you guys can really take this, because sales is not manipulation. Okay? Sales is not smiling, dialing. Sales is what? Solving problems. Now think of it from a physician standpoint. I'm always going to give my medical background to this, okay? And if you come to a doctor, physician, and you have a problem, and they just look at you, Dexter, and say, oh, I know what it is. Here you go. I don't ask any questions. I don't diagnose at all. What happens to that physician? They go to jail for malpractice, okay? The same happens that you're going to go to sales jail if we don't diagnose the real problem. You guys, is everybody following me here? Like, because the sale is in the diagnosis, Anthony. Like, it's all in diagnosis. And honestly, the first step is really the key. Okay, it's getting to not necessarily the obstacles. That's the word. It's number 1, by the way. You can write that in. Obstacles. But really, what am I doing throughout this process? Jay, I'm building doubt. I'm building doubt in everything you're doing by following a diagnosis. Because a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, I don't need a coach. I'm like, well, I probably don't want to coach you. I don't know. But I want to know what you got going on if I can help you. So what obstacles are you facing? Okay? So that's number 1, obstacles. What's the pain? What problem am I solving for? It should be the first question you ask every single prospect. What problem are we really solving for here? Right? Okay? And how can I be different from everybody else you've ever worked with? Tell me about your last insurance agent. Tell me about your relationship. Have you ever had a claim? What was that like? Right? I'm digging in, but I'm spending time here diagnosing. I have to diagnose in the obstacles. Next thing is outcome. Okay? Outcome stage. This is an anchor point. Needs to be locked in. The obstacles, then the outcomes. Where do you see your future looking like? What is in an ideal world, what does it even look like? Do you think you have enough insurance? What does that look like? How often do you want me to call you? How often do you want to meet? What is this relationship going to look like? What's the outcome that's going to come from this? Okay? In an ideal world, what are we talking about? Obstacles, outcomes. Number 3, timing. Is this a now thing? Timing. Why? If you do not lock these in, I'm going to tell you, all you're going to get is what? Objections. And if you lock these in, you might get an objection. It's not a real objection, though. Because if you really anchor these things in. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? Timing. Next one, finances. Do you have budget set aside to be able to attack this? I think a lot of times in business, what are we really trying to do? We're trying to find the money. Is there money here to fix this? Now, if you really follow these 5, and I'll get to the last one in a little bit. If you really follow these 5, like, it's going to be a natural problem-solving solution. Okay? And I script out my entire sales, everything, from the phone call to the discovery to the offer, however, the asking people to move next steps like Chad talked about. But here's the problem. If you're not diagnosing enough, you're going to be just giving offers that don't really make much sense. And now you're just giving a bunch of offers. So it's going to take you now 10 leads to maybe get 1 conversion. But if you can really lock these in, you're going to have 10 leads and you're going to make 4 or 5 conversions. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? Wouldn't that be easier? Rather than chasing so much? Okay? The last one is, which one for? Finances. Okay, so we had obstacles, outcomes, timing, finances. Okay, I need to lock that in, budget. Last one is decision maker. Is there anybody else that needs to be involved in this decision? I asked Travis that on the phone, didn't I? I need to lock these things in. We need to understand, is there going to be anybody else involved in this decision? Because what? What's your number one objection you're going to get?
I'll check with the wife.
Go ahead, give it to me. Andrew, just say that. I got to check with my wife.
Gotta check with my wife.
Andrew, when you're checking with your wife, tell me exactly. Are you going to be talking about how much the price is, the overall transformation of you and I working together, like the terms and conditions? What exactly are you going to discuss with her?
Finances.
Okay, so now what did I just do? I pinpointed. But most people are like, oh, the spouse, right? I already see it coming. We know we're now. If I really followed though my 5 anchor points, I already had this conversation, didn't I? Before the objection got there. What's another objection? Timing, right? I'm gonna need some time. Hit me. Too busy.
I'm too busy right now.
So, Dexter, what I'm hearing is you're going to need some time, or is this like not a now thing? Because you told me that earlier that this was really like a big pain that we needed to solve now. Is that something that's different? Or are you really ever going to be not too busy? Because there's always going to be something that's going to come in your way why we can't start coaching today. Am I right?
Yep.
Now, it could be timing, or it could be busy, but now what about timing, right? I'm going to need some time to what? Think about it. When you're thinking about it, exactly, Anthony, what are you going to be thinking about? You're going to be thinking about the price, the overall process, how this is going to transform, or how you're going to have cheaper insurance or better overall coverage. What exactly are you going to be thinking about?
Is it going to work for me?
Is it going to work for you? Tell me why won't it work?
I'm not sure if it's the right timing.
Now we're back to time. So now, once again, though, where am I really going with it? I'm not going to let people go, though, if I know it's a garbage objection. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay? Like, we've got to really get to it. Like, now, if you're saving people money, that's one thing. But if you're building value and you're following these things, naturally, people are going to need to think about it. It's going to be like, that's a big price tag. I'm going to have to think about it for a second. Well, exactly when you're thinking about it, what exactly you're going to be thinking about? But I'm not getting to this, and I'm not able to overcome any of those objections if I don't what? Lock in. Obstacles, outcomes, timing, finances, decision maker. Now, a lot of times, in my world especially, people have to put in the work. So that's a whole other objection. Like, I know this is going to work, Ryan. I'm just not willing to put in the work. That's where I get a lot of times. What do you think is the number one reason why people don't move forward with you guys? I feel like I know, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think in our industry, it's either coverage or pricing.
What about, I don't want to leave my person that I'm with.
Hard to cut the cord.
I feel like that's a big one, right? Because like this all makes sense otherwise. How do we overcome that?
Well, I like to cut the cord for them.
There you go. Write this down. Be ridiculously easy to do business with. Okay? Be ridiculously easy to do business with. Don't worry about it. You know what, Jay? I'm going to handle all that for you. You're not going to have to worry about it. And that's exactly, I think, what you told me. Because that was the main reason. I'm like, man, I kind of like this guy. Joe Schmo Insurance. That undercovered me, everything, right? But why? Because Jay diagnosed the situation. And because of that, he won a whole bunch of more business. Not just my business. Because of that. Do you see, like this is such key. The diagnose phase is so, so key in every relationship. That's why I always say the fact finder's where the wholesale is, everything's there. It's not the offer that comes with it. Now, I need to be bold. I need to ask people to move forward. Like from everything that you've shared with me, Taylor, it sounds like this is a perfect fit. Are you ready to hear how we can move forward? And I'm asking the question, moving forward, and then here's the offer. Here's what it looks like to work together. This, and this. But without an offer, Dexter, there's no monetization. Right? That's why Chad was so adamant. There's no offer, there's no money. But we've got to build it up so that we can be more bold to get more offers out. And I know for a fact this is going to be in your best interest. I'm fighting for you. You know you need to do this. If it ever gets awkward, by the way, I'm okay with getting awkward. Because number one, when I meet people and I'm in a selling situation, I just want to help you. Number two, I know that you're not going to grow unless it's uncomfortable. So if we're a little uncomfortable, I know we're going the right direction. And number three, people will fight to stay in their comfort zone. They will absolutely fight to stay in their comfort zone. Does that make sense? Okay? How are we doing on time? Wonderful. We're about 10 minutes. Here's what I want to do. I want surveys, but I'm going to give away some things. Is Melissa here? Yeah, there you go. You already signed up for next week. I'm doing a disc workshop. Thank you for that. But I'm going to give away 2 more seats to my disc workshop next week. And I'm also going to give away, I'm speaking, biggest stage of my life at the end of the year. It's called the Goal Achieving Summit in Orlando. I'm going to give away $2,000 seats. Okay? But you got to do a survey first. Sound good? Yes. Just a quick survey. Pass those around. And then while we're doing this, what was your number one takeaway from today? Andrew? Did that spousal objection help?
There's a lot in here, Brian. A lot of great stuff. A lot of things that, we hear about and that I want to include in my own practice. But really the thing is like having a system. And following that system.
And
I think it's about activity.
If I have a system of activity, I have my clothes laying out in the morning, my meal prep, I don't think about it.
Yes.
Right? How can I do that in my business? I have like 4 stations. I have my phoning station, I have my deep thinking station, I have my virtual studio. I have stations where I know I'm in zone, right here. I don't even have to think. I'm right to it. Already preparation's already met opportunity, and I get right to it. By the way, at the bottom of this, if you want to be on my Ryan's encouraging message, just put your cell phone in there. And you get a text message Monday through Friday. It's about 2 to 3 minutes of just me giving you some encouragement, which encourages me, right? Okay. But I do want to know some things that you've taken away from today. Anybody else? Oh, ciao.
Be ridiculously easy to do business.
Ridiculously. Nobody wants to say, bring, I need to get this statement and this and that. I mean, sometimes is required, right? But that's how you could set the stage, like, hey, to work with me, I'm going to need these things. But if there's any way that I can help you to be able to be more ridiculously easy to do business with, like you want to have that easy button. Like it's easy to do business with me. I'm going to handle everything. You don't have to worry about a thing. Does that make sense? Okay?